We have all been hearing a lot about the new tax reforms scheduled to take effect from January 2026. Understandably, many Nigerians are worried. We ask questions like, what will the government do with the money? Why should we pay when we don't see results? And those are not foolish questions. They are valid, and they come from lived experience. But before we go into who pays what and what applies, there's something even more important we need to understand, and that is the purpose of the tax policy itself. A country's tax system is not just about revenue, it's about shared responsibility. For many years, Nigeria's economy heavily depended on oil. Oil revenues carried much or most of the burden of national funding. And as a result, many citizens were indirectly insulated from the true tax of governance. And today, oil is no longer enough. And in reality, it never was. Across the world, the countries that work, the countries we admire, are largely funded by their citizens through taxes. That's why many citizens in those countries are deeply invested in how their governments perform. When you contribute, you pay attention. And when you pay attention, accountability naturally follows. Nigeria's tax ratio to GDP is currently around 10 to 11%. Now that means that out of everything Nigeria produces, only around 10% comes back as tax revenue. And this is majorly from the big companies and few formal structures, compared to the tax ratio to GDP of other developed and developing nations that rises as high as 25, 30, and even 40% in some cases. So this reform is not just about collecting more money. It's about broadening participation. Does this take away the real concerns of mismanagement and corruption? Of course not. Those concerns remain. But what this moment presents is clearer systems, better data, and more engaged citizenry.